Hi guys, welcome back to Seduce Me. We're going to be looking at the other good ending for Diana's art, which is, I know you love her too. I didn't want us to fight over this like children. Yes, I loved her, but so did he. Who was I to push him away? After all, he'd served her his entire life. Sarah stared hard at me, taking in what I was saying, before raising his spear and pointing at me.
You truly love her?
I do. I'm sorry if that upsets you. A moment passed. What would Sarah do? I prayed he wouldn't strike me down. I hope he was willing to listen and compromise. A small chuckle escaped Sarah's lips, caused me to look at him in confusion. His face painted his concern and his strange thoughts on this almost humorously situation. As he lowered his spear, he shook his head.
It doesn't upset me. I just want Azayr to be happy.
As do I. Sarah locked eyes with me, gazing in my soul, judging my words for their truth. I was being honest and true. To know that both of us cared about and loved Diana was amazing to fathom. Eventually, Sarah smiled slightly.
Then, maybe it's best that we both try to make her happy.
Awesome. I smiled and nodded, happy to know that he understood. This wasn't a contest, nor was this something to fight about. If we both loved her, then the best thing to do was to both shower her in the love we felt she deserved.
What is going on?
Seriously, warn me, Di, before you do that. Sarah and I suddenly looked to the direction of Diana's voice, seeing her completely red in the face in anger. As she walked forward, Sarah bowed his head in submission.
My lady, I
asked Sarah if we could talk in private. Diana stopped walking and stared at me with the most confused look I'd ever seen. I giggled a bit before stepping to her and taking her hand. We needed to chat about a little something. Something about you, of course.
About me?
I nodded with a grin before walking over to Sarah and placing a hand on his shoulder, making him look up at me. I lowered my hand and offered it to him, helping him stand up before continuing. We are both in love with you, Diana. The look in Diana's face was both humorous and adorable. Her face turned completely red as her eyes darted back and forth between the both of us. Oh, poor Di.
Azayr.
Sarah took a step forward and took one of Diana's hands, as I did the same with her free hand. Diana looked back and forth between us, now completely in shock and uncertain. Sarah and I couldn't stop the smiles on our faces at the sight.
We love you and want you to be happy.
If it takes both of us to do it, then we will happily do whatever we can to ensure that happiness. My heart felt like I had made the right choice. Sarah loved her, and so did I. There was no need to lay claim to her when she was deserving of ultimate love. If it was something we could both provide, then it was well worth sharing. Diana's eyes began to roar as she looked down and tried to catch her breath. Both Sarah and I looked I could worry. Oh, however, what? Before Sarah and I could... Alright. Terrible reading my part there. Before Sarah and I could worry, however, she softly chuckled.
You both are such fools.
We are your fools. For a moment, Sarah and I became once confused, but as Diana looked back up at us with a happy smile and soft tears running down her cheeks.
I don't deserve either of you, let alone both of you.
That's where you're wrong, Azayr. I stepped forward and softly kissed Diana on the lips, making her gasp and stare at me wide-eyed. As I pulled away, I grinned. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Sarah stepped forward and placed a kiss of his own on Diana's lips, causing another gasp to erupt from her. The blush on her face deepened.
And we would be honored to grant you that happiness.
Diana couldn't help sobbing and covered her face with her hands. Sarah and I quickly rushed to her side, embracing her and sandwiching her between our bodies. We didn't want to upset her. Her body shuddered between ours. Both she took in a couple of deep breaths, trying to calm down. Sarah and I, however, began to pepper kisses along her hands and cheeks, wanting to comfort her. It was hard to believe that we agreed on something, but Sarah and I both wanted the best for Diana, and both of our hearts wanted to be with her. As long as we were open about it, it would be okay. We were completely happy. The energy that sparked within Diana completely filled her with the power, giving her the strength to completely annihilate the Demon Lord's army almost single-handedly. What many expected to take years to accomplish, Diana took days. Every attack the Demon Lord threw at us ended with him becoming utterly defenseless, soldierless and powerless. Despite him managing to escape each time, we dwindled his troops to a mere handful of imp demons. Soon we had cornered him against a stretch of water called the Decaying Seas. In his castle, Theo, Diana, and I stood upon a cliff, staring down at the legions that had gathered below us as we mentally prepared ourselves for what would be the final battle.
To think, this will finally be over.
Once it is, you will become the new queen of this world.
I looked over to Diana, seeing a soft glimmer of fear on her face. Was she not prepared for that responsibility? I took her hand, causing her to look over at me in surprise. As I nodded, I let a grin paint over my face. You'll be an amazing queen. Sarah smiled as well, taking her other hand and making her look over at him.
That you will, and we will support you until the very end.
Diana's face completely turned beet red as Sarah and I smirked at each other. We quickly leaned in and kissed both of Diana's cheeks, simultaneously causing her to gasp and straighten up like an arrow. During the time before the siege, Sarah and I managed to work out our differences and find ways to double team against Diana whenever she was feisty, stressed, or needed care. I have to admit, we were the perfect duo. Diana shook her head violently and glared at both of us, but refreshingly kissed each of our lips, causing us to shut up the laughter we had released upon seeing her blush. Diana looked to the crowd and stepped forward, slightly arching her back towards the legion below. She was no longer was just Diana. She'd become the mighty queen of the rebellion, one that I loved with all my heart.
Milites! Et hoc liberati esturei teramcun tuis omnibus conversiris. Sto vobiscum reducitic vos ad spem. Nocte, lavabir mur, arcem, hostium sanguine. Ele dio dominati sun nostri. Nos destruet, ium mitere, profundissimum, inferni detractos.
Diana summoned her saber, letting it shine brilliantly as the purple tainted over her skin began to twist and turn. Before my eyes, the taints on her back took shape, lifting off of Diana's skin and morphing into her beautiful demonic wings. I watched with pride as Diana's body lifted off the ground and began to fly over the legions, slowly gliding towards the castle.
To war! To battle!
And that cry marked the dawn of change. The demon world would end, the age of the demon lord's tyranny, and begin the age of united peace and prosperity. With Diana soaring through the air bowed to her and proved her worthy of such power. As I stared, time around me slowed as I took in everything that happened. We were at the end of the war. Where would we truly go from there? Who knew? But I knew that I would be at Diana's side forevermore. I managed to seduce her into bringing me into a new world and experience everything. We were in love, and I was certain she would become the beacon of life, not only for me, but for every demon in this world. After all, she managed to seduce me too. The demon war was only the beginning of our lives together.
Well, you did it! Congratulations!
Yeah, thanks.
You made it to the end of your story. Woo! I have to say, I am very surprised at how it turned out.
No one saw that one.
Nevertheless, I'm glad things worked out in the end, whether it was for the better or otherwise. I mean, come on. You got to be with a succubus and help her fight in a war. How crazy is that? You even got her to admit that she is in love with you. Go you! Demons are very hard to convince that you love them. Tell me about it, I know. Anyways, you've been through a lot, so why don't we skip to... Huh? You want to know what happened after the war?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I guess I could tell you. After the war was finished, the entire rebellion celebrated. Word spread far and wide about the rebellion's success, and soon every kingdom in the Abyssal Plains had become united with the new authority. You would think demons would be more hostile towards each other, being demons and all, but the threat of the Demon Lord was what brought the entire world together. The final battle between Diana and the Demon Lord became quickly one-sided, as he was no match for the power she had gathered from your love. Guess the power of love really does conquer all. Anyway, when the war ended, the entire rebellion celebrated as Diana presented his head to the masses like a trophy before burning it and letting the ashes sink into the ground. The day after, she became queen of the demon world. It definitely shocked her, and it took her a while to get used to being called Your Highness by the other demons, but you helped her through it. Well, you and Sero, anyway. Both of you pretty much became her anchors and support the entire time through her coronation and beginning to rule the world. Sero, being told, Zero, being told of the deal she made with you convinced you to stay in the demon world with them, so that you'd be with her for the rest of your life. Though, I didn't think it was hard to convince you, was it? You love the dickens out of her, come on!
Yep, we do.
Still, from what I hear at least, the three of you live happily ever after. Huh? You don't believe me? Alright, check it out for yourself.
Okay. The demon world finally knew peace. It was a grand moment. The sound of a million cheers echoed and burned themselves in my memory. A celebration for the end of the war. Diana had finally destroyed the demon lord, and soon enough we would watch her become the matriarchy, whatever the hell that was, of the Abyssal Plains, the queen, uniting the world under her rule. It was almost too unreal to experience and see as a human. However, I was happy for Diana, and I was proud to stand beside her and support her through it all. The war was an experience and a half, and I would never forget it for as long as I lived. As for me, I found myself drawn to Diana, hoping to spend every night with her in my arms. The human world became a faint, drifting memory as my life embedded itself into the demon world. Many demons questioned me, but Zero and Diana defended me in every conflict that came. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't wonder, did I make the right choice? It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Diana. My heart seemed to remind me that I had come to the demon world to help Diana, and it was time for her to honor her end of the deal. She had to teach me everything about the 5 rules and about magic. As queen, that wasn't possible now. To my surprise, it didn't seem to mind. I'd been given the experience of a lifetime, and easily accepted that. It was promise fulfilled. The fame of my own power slightly tingled through me every time I grew confident, eagerly reminding me that I had strength of my own. I would never let anybody come between me and Diana ever again. The thought of it echoed in my mind as I lay in bed looking at the ceiling, with a wide smile on my face. Despite the danger being real, the war was an adventure fun to look back upon in my memories. I took in a breath and let her sigh, leaning back against the arm beneath my head and closing my eyes. I was at peace and everything was alright.
Are you okay, dear?
I opened my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Diana smiling down at me. I only giggled and cuddled in her brace. I was just thinking about us.
Were you now? What about us?
With a smile, I nuzzled Diana's chest soft and closed my eyes, listening to her steady and loving heartbeat. How thankful I am to be with you. Diana stared down at me, gently hugging me to her. I could feel her own joy at the situation resonating from her embrace and from the kiss over my head. Sarah only chuckled as he laid on her other side, listening to us speak to each other. Sarah and I had gotten over our differences, and I was positive that we would be perfect together taking care of our demon queen. We both adored Diana and found each other both equally held close to each other's side of her body every morning.
I am thankful that you're here too. Both of you. You have done so much for me, and I will cherish you forevermore.
I believed every word. I held her words embed themselves in my heart, and I would remember them forever as Diana hugged Zero and I to her. The three of us let out a simultaneous sigh of contentment. I could love her and continue to hold her close for the rest of my life, nothing would be able to tear me away from her any longer. And this was my perfectly happily ever after. I'm thankful for you, C. Woo! And there we go. That, of course, was the other good ending for Diana, so now we just go off for the bad ending. So let's go check it out.